First of all, I'm gonna need these festival hipsters to stop talking about the scariest movie they've ever seen when they clearly haven't seen shit. It was kind of an extreme reaction, wasn't it? Sorry about that. I'm not too jaded. I do realize that people have a different barometer for fear. It's very important for you to understand what a reviewer's barometer for fear is before you take into account their review, because you don't know what point of view they have, especially when they start talking about what's the scariest thing they've ever seen or the most disturbing thing they've ever seen. Their barometer could be I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream, or their barometer could be Cannibal Holocaust and Irreversible. Some people can't handle gore, but they can deal with supernatural no problem. Other people, you can chop up people and throw body parts at them all day and they're unbothered, but you start talking about some demonic stuff or paranormal and it creeps them out. I fall into the latter of those two things. I just wanted to say that so you know, despite how I open this video, that I'm not some hard ass that sits around going, oh, I'm not afraid of anything. There are people that do that. They're like, I'm not afraid of any horror movie. And it's so hard for me to believe. I'm sure maybe someone like that exists, but it's hard for me to believe. I've seen hundreds of movies, but there's only a few that actually creep me out. So before I start talking about Hereditary, I figured I'd let you know what my barometer for fear was. And when I say creep me out, I mean on a prolonged basis. There's movies that you see it and you're creeped out while the movie is on, but the minute you turn it off, you can walk through your house in the dark, turn off all your lights, go to sleep, you're fine after the movie. When I'm talking about creepy, I'm talking about the type of movies that stay with you after you've watched them and you just can't stop thinking about them, or throughout the course of the week you're still thinking about them, or even upon repeated viewings. A great example, the opposite of that is like Insidious. First time I saw Insidious, oh, this is kind of creepy. But then you watch it 2 or 3 more times and it completely loses all of its creepiness, and it's just kind of a silly little film. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about movies that no matter how many times you watch them, it's still creepy. For me, there's only 6 of these movies. One is John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. There's something really creepy about that movie. Can't put my finger on it. I have to rewatch it. It's kind of funny because I haven't rewatched it since I was about 14. My mother used to have it on VHS. That's how I saw it. But I haven't rewatched it as an adult because I was so creeped out by it then. I kind of am reluctant to rewatch it as an adult. Hellraiser is like that for me. I've seen all the sequels, but none of them are as creepy as the first one. Even the second one, as good as it is not as creepy as the first one to this day. Even Horizon, which is basically Hellraiser in space. There is something creepy as hell about that movie, and I don't know what it is. When I look at the visuals, I'm like, well, there's nothing so out of the ordinary about these visuals. Why does this movie creep me out so much? Remember, the very first time I tried to watch Event Horizon, I happened to catch it on, I think it was HBO or Showtime, one of those movie channels when I was about 15 or 16 years old. I didn't know what it was about. I just read the description of what's coming on next. Started watching it, turned it off about 15 to 20 minutes into it because I couldn't handle it. I was in my room by myself and I was like, this is too intense. I can't finish watching this. And I think I turned and watched whatever they were playing on USA Up All Night. Something softer than Event Horizon, but I did go back and watch it as an adult, and it's creepy as hell. The last 2 are the 2 that no matter how many times I've watched these films, they got me messed up every single time. Martyrs and The Exorcist, they are just masterpieces. That's all I can think to call them, is they are masterpieces. I brought this up because of all the comparisons of this movie, Hereditary, to The Exorcist, which is an unfair comparison. Mind you, I am not a movie snob at all. I enjoyed the Paranormal Activity movies. They were fun. I enjoy the Insidious movies. They're fun. I see nothing wrong with a well-executed jump scare. That's a good time for me. Pop some popcorn, let's get jump scared. I like that. I'm not one of those, it's a cheap jump scare. It's not good enough horror movie for me. I'm not that person. There's room in the world for both. We can have highbrow, we can have lowbrow. We can have, let me think of a really excessively highbrow. We could have The Shining and The Omen, and we could also have Gutter Balls and The Toxic Avenger. I'm not a movie snob, but like I was saying, there was a lot of comparisons of this movie to The Exorcist, and I think that's BS. This movie's nowhere near the level of The Exorcist as far as being scarier and settling, in my opinion. But does that mean it's not a good movie? Not at all. It's actually a very good movie. The writing, the direction, the acting, cinematography, the score, all very good to excellent, and I'll go through each one a little bit later in this video. However, it is not hardly the scariest movie ever made. I would put it kind of on par with The Conjuring, and even for the first 2 acts, Poltergeist, the 1982 version, not that weak-ass remake. We will like to forget that that ever even happened. I can't believe that was so bad. You see that crap? This movie has some effect of creepiness, and I'm actually really glad I got to see it in the movie theater. I'm just saying that they did not need to market it in this way, and it kind of made me apprehensive about even going out to see it, especially with A24, because A24 has done this before. They told us that The Witch was as scary as The Exorcist. They marketed It Comes at Night as a horror film when really it's a psychological thriller in which nothing actually comes at night. And it's kind of like, you know, that whole fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. When I saw the A24 logo, I kind of was like, I don't know whether I would have paid to see this, because for as good as A24 is doing, you're no Blumhouse yet. I don't know. I guess I'm a Blumhouse fangirl. They've had some misses, but they've had more hits than misses. So when I saw the A24 plus this excessive, oh, it just scares the Exorcist, I was like, yeah, sure it is. Anyway, let's get into this movie and talk about the non-spoiler specifics. The actors were really great. There were no weak actors in this movie. Of course, I'm sure you've heard this from other reviewers, but Toni Collette really did an amazing job. I would definitely say Oscar worthy. However, the Oscars have a very fickle relationship with horror genre movies. Last year, Jordan Peele did win an Oscar for Get Out, so that's a step in the right direction. There have been Oscar-nominated horror movies before. I think The Exorcist was nominated. I think Rosemary's Baby might have been nominated. The Shining probably was nominated. But it's been so long since horror movies have been nominated for Oscars that people kind of automatically discount them and say, oh, you know, it's not even in the realm of possibility for an actor or director of a horror movie to be Oscar acknowledged. This is the first film that I've seen Mila Shapiro in. She did a really good job. She has a very interesting look to her that lends itself to this character very well. I actually kind of like that about her. Alex Wolff, when I saw a cast, was kind of interesting because I'm like, he doesn't even look like he's part of this family. And I thought that it was going to come out within the story that he had a different father or something, but that never happened. But anyways, he did a good job. He's a great actor. He did a great job in this movie. I just kept looking at him going, you're not their kid. I know that's pretty messed up. Gabriel Byrne, another thing. I was looking at his casting and thinking, he's almost 70 years old. He's kind of old to be the dad of teenagers. It happens in real life all the time. I just thought, you know, he seemed a little bit old, but once the movie gets going, you completely forget about that and you just see him as the father in the family. The score and sound design was integral to this movie, and that's another reason why I enjoyed seeing it in the movie theater, because of how everything sounded. The orchestral score was really, really beautiful. A lot of the sound elements, which I can't get into without spoiling certain elements of the movie, just suffice to say they were really great, and they did their job. They did what they were supposed to do. They were effective. That's the word I'm looking for, effective. You know, it's another good sign of a great horror movie is when a horror movie makes you afraid of something that you ordinarily wouldn't be afraid of. For example, in Poltergeist, the snow on the TV. Before that happened, no one was really afraid of the snow on the television, but Poltergeist made you afraid of the snow on the television. In Paranormal Activity 2, I don't know whether it was an Xbox or PlayStation move, but the dots that register the people playing the game showing more than the people in the room is very scary, especially since that actually happened to me in real life. I can't remember whether we had both a PlayStation, Xbox, and a Wii at the same time, so I can't remember which one it was that shows the green dots on it when you're playing a game. But a lot of times there would only be two of us playing the game, and then I really can't remember if it was PlayStation Move or it was Xbox, but whichever one it was, it kept on registering that there were 3 people in the room when there was really only 2 of us, and that's really, really creepy. This movie took a noise that the girl would make with her mouth and make that scary. You would think that it's the most inane thing, but now it's become scary. Thanks for that. My favorite thing about this movie is the cinematography. It really took me back to much older movies, and it was really good to see these wide shots, because I've seen, especially as of late, so many video-on-demand horror movies where everything is shot like this. Everything is this close. No, wait. I got it closer. You can't see the pores in my face. The talking scenes, you have people shooting this close to the screen, and it's like, why is the camera up their nose? It was really great to see wide shots and static shots that allow me to see what I'm looking at. I would say it's actually refreshing to watch the camera languish over the scenery so you can appreciate it. But a large portion of the film was shot in this really large house, which I appreciate because the house was kind of a character in the movie itself. Speaking of cinematography, there were some really creative overhead shots that I enjoyed, and there were some shots that started off upside down and then rotated into right side up. And there were some great transitions of shots that went from the miniatures that Toni Collette's character built into the live action scenes. I just can't say enough how beautifully shot this movie was. It kind of, there's a movie from, I think it's early 80s that was called The Fury that was shot in Chicago, and it's I think Brian De Palma did it after he did Carrie, and a lot of the shots in this movie remind me of the shots from that movie, The Fury. So if you're familiar with that movie, enjoy this. There were some parts of it I would say kind of remind you of maybe just the shots of the cinematography, not the story. The shots in cinematography, you could tell that this director is a fan of movies like The Omen and like The Shining, and I really appreciate that, because like I said, there's so many video on demand movies like what I reviewed, what I posted this morning or yesterday morning, Terrifier. Holy crap, was that shot horrible. You had a great character with that clown. You look at the cover art for that movie, you say, oh wow, this clown looks creepy as hell, I want to see that. Then you turn it on and it's shot like crap. And what's even more insulting about it, I don't know why I'm so upset about this movie. The thing that irritates me the most is that they had the money. You can tell they had top of the line equipment and didn't know how to use it. You have all this great high definition camera equipment and lighting, and you don't know jack shit how to use it. I'm insulted by that movie. But let me come back to this movie. Where my criticism is going to come in is with the writing. First and second acts I enjoyed much more than the third act. This is because the first two acts were very tense, very suspenseful. The story was unfolding in layers. I really enjoyed that. The third act was really ratcheting up the tension, and then it stopped. I mean, just when you felt like it was about to get really frightening, it got silly. And I'm going to describe a scene without spoiling it or telling you what actually happened, if that makes sense. Well, you'll understand what I'm talking about if you've actually already seen the movie. You'll know exactly what scene I'm talking about, but I'm going to try to do this in a way so as not to spoil. Stop that shit, you asshole! Why you did that? I'm leaving that in the fucking video too. I know I heard you outside my door. I knew you was gonna do that shit, but I thought you were gonna wait until I was in the bed to do it. And now I don't even know whether that's a spoiler or not. If you saw the movie, you know if you heard that. You might not have heard it because I'm on the microphone, but my sister just opened the door and started doing, and if you see the movie, you know what the hell that is. But I was saying, shit, she got me all messed up now. Oh, there's a scene where there's a character and they're in their room and they wake up at night, and the audience, we can see something else happening in the scene, and it's really creepy, and the camera lingers on this kind of static shot of the person sitting there and the audience reacting to what they're seeing in the movie, in the room. And with the audience that I saw this with, they were losing their shit on this scene until the director made a choice to throw something in that kind of ruined all the tension and suspense, trying to do this without saying what it is. As the character starts to realize what the audience realizes, the tension is completely broken, because like I just said, the director made this choice to really throw in something extremely silly and ruin that moment. If the director had not done that, I think that moment in the movie would have been iconic. The ending to the movie was interesting, but it was not as satisfying as I thought it was going to be. I was expecting a much bigger reveal as far as the family story or the family history was concerned. They revealed something and I was like, oh, that's it? Okay. I heard this movie was originally 3 hours long, and I actually hope that we get to see the original 3-hour cut, because there's such a huge tonal shift between the first and second act and the third act. It's almost as if the studio said, okay, you have all this tension and suspense built up, and you got all these people on the edge of the seats. You gotta throw in some jump scare popcorn shit at the end. The jump scares, they were executed alright, but they fell out of place with the rest of the movie. Like, you had the movie having a certain feel for the first two parts of the movie was like really, really suspenseful and creepy and tense and uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable like, oh, this is disturbing to me, but just I'm uncomfortable because I'm anticipating what's happening. I'm very tense. And then the third act kind of throws all the tension out the window. And there's one specific, I guess it would be a jump scare-ish type scene, but it didn't land too well because we saw it in a trailer. Had they not put that in the trailer, I think it really would have landed so much better. I wish they didn't do that. They kind of spoiled that surprise in the trailer. But overall, great movie, especially for a first-time full-length feature from Ari Aster. And before anyone asks, yes, I did watch his short film, A Strange Thing About the Johnsons, last year, and it was like for 3 days I couldn't get Time for Din Din out of my head because that was some weird. It was mildly creepy. It wasn't super creepy. It was mildly creepy, but it was more weird than anything. That did make me want to see Hereditary because I'm like, this guy's kind of weird and quirky, and I want to see how weird he's gonna go. This movie, it wasn't really that weird. Anyways, I respect this director, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's the next thing that he works on.